Hello, and welcome to Travel Weekly's latest webcast. I'm delighted today to be joined by Robert Courts, Minister for Aviation, Maritime and Security. Thanks for agreeing to come on and answer a few questions. What are your impressions of the cruise industry's restart so far?
It's been, after an incredibly challenging time for the cruise sector, I am immensely impressed by the restart. I've been incredibly impressed from the very beginning of this crisis by the way that the cruise sector has responded really constructively, working very closely with government, with real innovation as well. So going away and looking at its operations and understanding how they can be made safe so that people can really enjoy cruising in the challenging world of COVID. The protocols that were drawn up have been really successful. They are in operation now, and that is meaning that people are able to get out and do what they love doing and going on cruises safely, which is great for the industry and the thousands of people it employs, all the money it brings in to the economy. But crucially, of course, people get out to go and have a brilliant time on cruises too.
Brilliant. I mean, you've talked about how impressed you are with, with what cruise has done and how it's responded to the pandemic. But I want to know a little bit more about your relationship with the cruise sector. How it's where it was at the beginning of the pandemic and where it is now. It seems like there's a strong relationship there, and it's provided good results.
Very much so. I mean, I became the minister during the pandemic, so it's difficult for me to comment on what it's like before. But the industry relationship that I've always seen has been extremely close and has become even closer as well. It's been a very collegiate, a very cooperative relationship between myself and my officials and all of the partners, both with CLIA and with all of the operators themselves. And that really has brought huge benefits. So the protocols that for the safe operation of cruises, that is something that the industry went away, developed themselves, brought them to government, and then we looked at them as well and made sure that they worked for everybody. That's an incredible programme of work and a real shining example of how to work very closely between a sector and government. But there's other things as well. So, for example, the innovation of the cruise industry is something I've been deeply impressed by. So, for example, UK Cruises, which started essentially a new type of cruises, was created last year, which was able to operate and show not only that cruises in a world of COVID were safe and really enjoyable, but introduced people to the wonders of the British coastline. So thousands of people have got to see our incredible, beautiful coasts who haven't before, and as well, people who haven't been cruising before got to go for the first time, introducing new people to this really enjoyable form of transport, this form of holiday.
Brilliant. Yeah, I completely agree, Robert. How is the current Omicron surge affecting things? And how do you think it will affect the cruise sector going into the summer? Off the back of a successful summer season last year.
Yeah. Yes, I mean, you're quite right to say, of course, a successful season last year, and we all look ahead to another even more successful season this year. Omicron has been difficult for the whole of the travel industry. Clearly, we had to take a precautionary approach because we needed to check whether it was likely to have a significant public health ramification. So we had to take the precautionary steps that we have. Happily, of course, as you know, we've been able to take those back. So the travel precautions that we have are now back at the condition that they were in pre the Omicron variant. And it's right that we do that because we do have to protect public health. I think that's what everyone would expect us to do. But as and when it's safe for us to be able to remove restrictions, of course, we'll look to do so. Now, we'll review the overall travel restriction policy at the end of January. I can't go any further at the moment as to what that might be. That's always been what we said we would do. We'd see where we were. We'll look at all the evidence, look at the scientific advice, look at what's happening out there in the world, and then we'll make a decision.
Brilliant. I'm going to put you on the spot here. I hope you don't mind. But when do you think cruising will return to normal?
It's very difficult for me to say. If there's any one thing that we have learned from coronavirus overall, it's that it's unpredictable. So I don't think it'd be right for me to speculate as to when that would happen. What I really can say is that I have absolute confidence that given the incredibly constructive, innovative, forward-leaning, imaginative approach that the cruise industry takes, I'm absolutely confident it has a very bright future and that very many more thousands of people will get to enjoy cruises around and from the UK in the months and years ahead.
This is great to hear. I just want to know, are you talking with governments across Europe about harmonising travel rules? Because at the moment it's one rule in one country, another set of rules in another country, and this is cruises call it multiple different ports of call in different countries. So are you talking about harmonising the rules at all?
Yeah, this is a key. I'm very aware of this, and it's always been a key challenge with cruises, whether you're looking at international ones in particular. And we do continue to talk to international partners to see how we can make travel seamless. And a good example of that would be the vaccination policy that we have, as we've looked to onboard people, as we call it, onto the vaccination, the list that we have of those who can travel with lower restrictions if they're fully vaccinated. So we'll always continue to talk to other international partners. It's been a real challenge, and of course, it's tricky because everybody's managing a public health concern first and foremost, but we're keen to make sure that wherever we can make things smoother and easier. So we constantly talk to international partners.
Brilliant. I mean, what about the passenger locator form? I mean, that's another good example where that could be sort of standardized across Europe, including, the UK.
Yeah, I mean, different countries will have different requirements for their own border infrastructure, and that's a key point to recognise. Some will require it to be in a different format, so we will continue to look to see how that can be made easier. But in any event, we continue to look at how we can make our own passenger locator form something that's simpler and easier. And as I say, we'll be looking overall at the policy at the end of January in the round.
Okay, brilliant. And does cruise have a particular challenge because of the onboard environment? Compared to aviation and compared to hotels, where the traveller leaves the hotel and then goes out into the wide world, but on the ship on the ship for a much longer period of time. Does that present a different challenge for crew?
I wouldn't say it's a particular challenge, but certainly it is a cruise environment. But the key thing on this is that's what the protocols are intended to address. The protocols which have been drawn up by the cruise industry are intended to take account of the cruise environment and all of the different characteristics that has. So you have protocols for managing safe cruising and managing coronavirus specifically applied to cruise. So that again is one of the things I've been so impressed with the cruise industry and the way they've gone away, thought about this, worked it up, brought it to government, worked with us. There's been an independent external verification as well. So it's a really good shining example of how to work closely with government.
I bet you've got every confidence going forward because of that, how impressed you are with the cruise sector, of maintaining operations, at the level that they are now.
Well, I mean, of course, as I said a moment ago, I'm loath to speculate about the future, given that COVID has always been so unpredictable. But what I can say is I have total confidence in because of the constructive, imaginative approach that the cruise industry has always taken. That whatever challenges are thrown at us, be it COVID or be it something else altogether, that working together in close partnership, government and industry, that we will come through whatever the challenges might be for the good of industry, for the good of communities that benefit from the cruise industry and ports, and crucially, of course, for customers.
Brilliant. And I want to talk about something that's close to your heart, sustainability and the cruise sector's sustainability drive. How are you helping guide that and shape that? Last year, Clear Cruise Lines signed up for a pledge to achieve, carbon neutrality by 2050. How are you involved in those discussions?
Yeah, so there's two parts of this, and you've quite rightly drawn attention to the first part of it, which is how the industry is really taking on this challenge with enthusiasm. Every cruise ship that you see going out onto the water now is cleaner, greener, more efficient than its predecessors. And you'll have some, for example, running on LNG, which is cleaner and greener than fuels that have gone before. It's not the whole story, but it's a big step forward. Things like hull design will help as well, the way ships are constructed and what takes place on board ships, because it's not all about the power source. It's also about the efficiency of the operations itself. All of that helps a lot. From our perspective, what we're looking to do is to decarbonise maritime in its totality. So not just cruises, of course, but also cargo ships, ferries, and all the others. The Clean Maritime Demonstration Competition is a big government project, a £20 million fund there, which is intended to start the work and to develop the work on the clean propulsion technologies of the future. And that's really exciting. There's a lot of work going on that.
Brilliant. Robert, I'm conscious of your time. So thank you so much for joining us.
That's my pleasure.
I appreciate it. It will be great for the cruise sector to see you today. And thank you so much again.
My pleasure.
All day.
Thank you very much. You too.